right, Devils, how we doing today? Here we are on Thursday, the 24th of October. We're looking at traditionals today. Man, great turnout in the poll today. I was really glad to see that. Of course, I had a little typo when I first listed it, so I guess many of you didn't get that initial blast when I ran the poll. But so glad to see that turnout. Boy, votes all over the board here. I'm going to start with Tilray. This was up the other day, and I didn't do it, but in a closer look here, I think this could get interesting. Now we're all the way back damn near to when we first hit our IPO low. So we're here. Of course, it looks so much like the alts, doesn't it? Right? We're all just, so what would that be? Down 99%. Pretty close to it. Now the Elliott count's a little wonky, right? It's not. Oh, I should note here where I'm in log scale. So with a low of, what are we at here? $20 and a high of $300. Yeah, we can call that the conditions that would want to look at it in log scale. I'm taking it out. Plus, it's just harder to see it, right? So you can put it in log and because of the compression above, the wave count will pop out at you. Now, this is a little funky, right? There's nothing that's perfect. You got to make a few compromises here. Really, the main compromise you have to make here, really the only one, is this X, right? It's just not it's not deep enough for a purist, right? But there it is, right? So here. The ABCC is problematic here because you can't get an impulse here without really just a hideous force fit. So you got to work the ABC into the first W here. You do get the 3 here. Now this is shallow X, right? I know purists are going to have a problem with that. But then we can get the well, here, let's label it. We can get the ABC here into the Y. All right, so you're getting this unusual cluster here. So the first WXY is so much shorter in distance and time than the second one, but now we do get more technical. So from this one, if I pull X to X, right, I'm come right to the golden zone, right, 2 through, right, we're almost a 4th target. So you got to make a little bit of an accommodation to this, just a relentless downtrend. So looking at that on the assumption here, right, you can make a case that it doesn't matter now. Let's just wick this off here. So from this level here, we can make out a pretty good case for an A, a B, and have come down to the C, and then we get some good subdivision to give us a contender here for a potential bottom. And you certainly, we could take all the technicals out of it and say, well, if there's longevity here, you're buying it at a 90% discount. So that unto itself is not unattractive, right? Now note here, we're about to bump into, well, we're bumping into this pivot, but we're about to bump into this pivot, right? That won't be ignored, right? Every pivot like that, every major pivot, you're likely to have some resistance there. So can we get through that? Well, here I'm on a 3-hour. Let's just open it up a little bit. And it gets a little. Yeah, so the way I see this here, it looks like we can go 1, 2, we get the 3, you got a little baby ABC in for the 4, but then the final 5 is gorgeous, right? So we get nice, it's technical, you've got good relationships, right? You can see here, so we get between the 23 and the 38, just where we're looking for that 4. It seems to be influenced here by this pivot, right? Every pivot, right? It's almost always it will influence the market. Almost always, not always, right? But you can see it pushing up to this pivot. And doing the same thing here. We tag that pivot. Then we come down, we get an algo target, and now we've had a decent little pop off the low. A little early to call this a major trend change, but not one to be ignored. So we're still, to get out of here, we're going to need a good motive wave, and we're going to need to get through that channel. Right? So that's, you got a few you're going to need to work through here. So just the first one going through this low, look where the Vegas wave is. Excuse me. So we got to get up and through here. We got a Vegas wave, and the golden zone will be sitting right here. You got point of control here. So there's resistance above, and then of course just the channel alone. That's going to be steep. So maybe you got a little start on something. Get down to the hourly. Just pop that up. Now here we don't need to be in log because we're not looking at that amount of price range history. So let's just open this up here. So it's a contender. Let's get this come here, out of the way. Okay, so maybe it's a 1-2. All right, so how do you know? Well, You're not, right? Because it certainly could be an ABC. So we can just use our tools here to help kind of identify what we got unfolding here. We're going to see some of the characteristics. Get this over here of a third wave. So if we can get this, right, the 233 would be right there. Well, that's interesting. So this pivot would come in right in our little hot box between the 1618 and 175, our high probability zone for our third. Oh, maybe we get something along these lines here would map that out for a nice impulse off the low. We can get this one, so we need a little more legs here. We get that. Now you got something to work with. Now, of course, we would just sit, hope for that 2, and that's the trade that I'd be looking for because I want to get this confirmed. Right now, it could just as easily be an ABC, right? How do we know? Well, we don't. Now, break some of the resistance here. Get through that. Well, let's see. Let's see if we can line it all up. Let's tighten this up a bit. All right, so so this will be the first thing we're going to bump into if this has got legs to keep going here. Now we don't have any earnings coming up. If you're trading this, I'm not sure why the gap here in the date of the earnings, other than what's the ones that are last here, August 19th. Not sure why. So if you're going to trade this, that's something you'd want to know when our next earnings report is. I don't know. I don't trade this much. I mean, I love the weed stocks, but I can't answer that for you here without doing a little due diligence. So if you're interested in trading this, perhaps you know, but it's not trading view is not telling me. But just technically, we can get up and pop that third. I mean, if you're comfortable with the risk, so you'd have the potential 4 to the 5, but really, unless you're going to get a big extension in the 5, is there enough there, right, for the risk? I'd say perhaps not. Right? I'd like to get that a little bit more confirmed. All right, so give me the nice clear impulse. Well, in this case, give me a motive. I'm fine. Okay. Then I got some structure to work with. So if I can get that, all right, of course, we'd be looking for the setup here, which would get us towards that third. Okay, so let's pull this out of here so you can see where I'm going with this. So of course, what is that going to set up for us? We don't have it, right? But if we can get this. Right, we got the makings of a golden corner, right? Would give us, we'll go up something like that. So if we can get that underway, then we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's get that. We'll go to green. Let's go to white. We'll go minuet. Okay, so that's what you're trying to set up. Too soon. In my opinion, right? Too soon. For the risk reward is not good enough. So if I get the 3, we retrace to the 4. There's not enough there in that 5, right? Just using your typical wave relationships. Oh, and you can kind of see this. You're likely to get a little resistance here as we bump into that. Right, there'll be some selling pressure there. So it wouldn't be surprising to see that start the retrace there. But this one, yeah, I'd be all over that. Let's tee it up. Right, so if I'll just split the difference, maybe we don't get the golden zone. Let's not assume we're going to get it, but under the 786, there's your wave 3 target. So if you're going to even giving it that much, let's get just a couple of ticks under the 786. Well, there's 6.5 to 1. Perfect, right? What's wrong with that? Absolutely nothing, right? Why would you not take that trade? Assuming we get this to complete here and we get the nice ABC, we get a pivot down here, everything lines up. That's a must take. All right, guys, short and sweet. Okay, I'm going to try and do multiples today, so I'll be back to you.